Hi, my name is Imogen Cotter. I'm a competitive cyclist living and racing in Belgium, and I'm here today with Cycling Ireland to do a quick helmet and bike check for the 2020 Can't See, Can't Be campaign. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is the helmet check, and it's something really basic, but I feel like I definitely should have watched this video when I first started riding my bike, because I made the mistake, and I know a lot of other people do as well, of wearing my helmet like a bonnet. So the correct way to wear your helmet is to just put it on and have it just above your eyebrows. So you want to have it there nice and snug, and also on most helmets there will also be like a wheel at the back. On my helmet it's just at the top here, and you're just going to tighten that to just bring it in as tight and secure as it can be around your head. And then the next step is just clicking this strap in. So you don't want this to be really tight, the strap around your head. You want to give a bit of space so you can talk, eat, drink, that kind of stuff. The kind of rule of thumb is just 2 fingers can fit within there. So if you need to tighten it up a bit, you can do that. And then the last step, which, you know, I suppose a lot of people forget, is also on most helmets you have this little tightening grip. You can just pull that in around your ears, so that will just give it another extra level of security. And then that is it. That's your helmet check. So as you can see, there's not a lot of movement in it. It's quite snug around my head and very safe. So next thing, bike check. I am just quickly going to go through some bike position checks that you can do yourself at home. These are just some easy tips you can follow yourself. It isn't a professional bike fit. That's something I would recommend if you're putting in a lot of hours on the bike, but you can just use these quick tips and test out your position at home. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the saddle height. Before I talk about the height, I'm actually just going to talk about how important it is as a woman, here's my dog, as a woman to make sure that you have a proper saddle that is specific for women. It can be so uncomfortable on the bike, and it can really impact on how much you enjoy riding a bike if you're riding with a saddle that is not, you know, suited for you. And there's so many places you can go now to get tested that test your hip width, your sit bones, and they will just give you the saddle that is right for you. And it's something I really would recommend doing, because it's one of our points of contact with the bike, and it should be, you know, huge importance should be placed on it. So that is my first bit of advice. Look for a proper saddle, and if you can, try and get one that has a slight gap in the middle that will allow you to sit on the bike properly and get out the power that you can get out. I will now get started on the bike positioning tips. So the first thing that we're going to check out is the saddle height. And a really good way to test this is just by, you're going to have your heel on the pedal, and when you have the pedal down at the bottom of the bike, your leg should be fully extended, knee locked out. That is how you know if your saddle is at the correct height. So knee fully locked out, leg fully extended. So that means that when you clip in, your foot at the bottom of the pedal stroke will have your knee slightly bent, which decreases risk of injury, and you will also be a lot more comfortable, be able to get out more power. So yeah, that's very important, that your knee is not fully extended when you're clipped in. You should have a slight bend in your knee. If you are experiencing knee pain at the back of your knee, that can mean that your saddle is too high. But if you're experiencing knee pain at the front of your knee, that can mean that your saddle is too low. So next thing that I'm going to check is my reach from my saddle to my handlebars. A really easy way to check this is just by placing your hands on your levers and looking forward. And a basic tip is that by looking forward, and down at your front wheel, you should not be able to see the hub of your front wheel. So when I'm looking down now, I can see, yep, I can't see the hub of my front wheel, and that is absolutely what we're looking for. You know, if you have your handlebars too far forward, or if they are too low, you can get a lot of overreaching injuries, so that your shoulders would be quite rounded over, and you would just not feel comfortable on the bike. There'd be quite a lot of strain. And if your handlebars then are up too high, you can also have issues with strain across your neck and your shoulders, because you're quite bunched up. You're not allowing your shoulders to relax properly, and that can just lead to elevated levels of strain and stress across your shoulders and your neck. So a good way to know whether or not your saddle and your handlebars are in the right position is there should be as little movement as possible between going on the bars, on the hoods and on the drops. So you should just be able to do that with as little movement as possible. And that is really my basic bike position tips. So now we are going to begin with the bike check. A really easy way to remember everything you need to check on your bike before heading out on the road is the M check. So you basically are moving from back to front. You're coming in first at the back wheel, up to the saddle, down to the bottom bracket, up to the headset, and down to the front wheel, almost in the shape of an M. So what you're going to do first is check your lever at the back. Mine is a bolt through lever, so I just have to tighten with an Allen key, but sometimes you do have to do it manually as well. So you just check, see if it's tight enough, and if it's not, you can tighten it. Quite easily done. After that, we're going to move on to checking the tyre pressure. So I'm just going to give my tyres a quick squeeze, make sure that they feel pumped up enough, and that's absolutely fine. After this, I'm going to check the rear brakes. So I'm just going to pick up my back wheel, give it a spin, and put on the brakes. So as you can see, that is working perfectly, and no need to worry. Next thing I'm going to do is check my saddle. You just want to make sure that your saddle is tight enough, that it's secure, and it doesn't have any movement in it. The last thing you want is, you know, your saddle becoming loose when you're riding your bike. It is quite annoying and, yeah, just unsafe. So you're just going to give a quick squeeze, apply some pressure on different parts of the saddle. Mine seems to be quite secure, so no need to worry about that. I can now move on to my next step, which is checking my bottom bracket. So the first thing I'm going to do with checking my bottom bracket is just check my pedals and make sure that they are secure. Both of them seem to be working fine. Another thing that I would do is check that my power meter is charged. So you just give it a quick press, and that's all good. Another thing I would do at this stage is I might actually check my chain and just see if it needs a bit more oil or a bit of TLC. Mine is a new chain actually, so everything is good to go there and no worries. So after that, you can move up to your headset, and to check your headset, you just want to apply your pressure on the brakes and just moving it back and forth and making sure that there is no sound or movement coming when you're pushing fully on the brakes. So that is absolutely fine here. I don't see any movement and I don't hear any sounds, but if you do, it is, you know, easy to tighten it using the bolts on the headset. After this, we're just going to move down to the front wheel again, and again it's the same process that we used at the back. We're just going to check that our lever is tightened enough so we have no wheels that could become loose on our ride, and you then want to check the tyre pressure. So again, just giving it a quick feel, and yeah, going off feel. If it needs a bit more pressure, then that's quite easily done. Just pump it up a bit more. And our last thing that we're going to do then is check our brakes. So I'm just going to pick up the bike and pull the brake. So everything seems to be working perfectly. I'm ready to go.